with ARC Solvers, and today we have a special live video that we're going to be talking specifically to general contractors, contractors, and developers. So if you're in the construction industry, you're definitely going to want to listen into this video because we're going to be talking about one of the biggest pain points when it comes to technology in your industry, and that is file sharing. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our video, as we do not charge for our content. It's all just to embed the community. So as a expert in IT dealing with construction companies all the time, we're always getting inquiries about better ways to communicate with the employees. Especially with COVID happening, you have employees working from home, you have project managers that may not be at the site every day, but they need to continue to communicate with their employees. They need to be able to see what the files, to see the pictures of the places. They need to be able to see files, the architectural drawings, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to make this video to talk about the best ways on how to share your information between your vendors, between your contractors, and between your employees. So if you have these two keywords, VPN or FTP, that is something that we got to discuss, because that is an older technology, although still efficient, but it is an older technology. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is how you can essentially upgrade that technology, leave it behind you, and get to something much better, which is what we call the cloud technology. So right now, if you're using a VPN or FTP server, more than likely your files are in your office. So that means that when you leave your office, you're no longer able to work as you are used to. That's why you have to use the VPN or the FTP. However, the new ways that you can do it is by leveraging the cloud. And one of the cool things about leveraging the cloud is it's not too hard, and more than likely you're already paying a service, part of your email service or some other type of service where it actually includes that. So my video is not to push a particular product, because there's so many different products out there. Obviously, there's the Dropboxes, there's the Box.com, there's Ignite, there's Microsoft, there's Google. So we're not talking about that. We're just talking about how do we get you to move to the cloud. We're trying to now educate you on why it's so important to move to the cloud. So the first reason that I have, which is my favorite, is that it offers granular controls. Have you ever had instances where you had a particular folder, but then within that folder, you had subfolders and you have files, but maybe you don't want a contractor, you have to share the folder, but you don't want the contractor to see the entire folder, or maybe you don't want an employee to see entire folder. Well, one of the cool features in the technology now is that you can now do granular control. So that way you can have a main folder, you can have a subfolder. And within that subfolder, if you want Tom, Dick, and Harry to be able to see the first three files, but then you don't want Tom, Dick, Harry, or let's just say Suzette to see the fourth file, but only to see the first three files, you can actually now do granular controls and be very specific. Or maybe you want to access, have that person access the entire folder, but you only want to do read only. So a lot of the bigger companies, that is still a feature that is not an option, but there are different solutions where you can do granular control. The next thing is, have you ever had an instance where you had a document and then all of a sudden it changed and you had no idea who made the changes? Well, the new thing with technology for construction companies is that you can do live document version tracking. So if Tom changed the document, you can actually go back to see what date, what time, and how did this document look prior to Tom changing it. Because one of the biggest calls that we get from construction companies are, hey, we were working on this file, and I don't know if someone just like fell on the keyboard or whatever, but the Excel spreadsheet is not what it's supposed to be. And we really need this Excel spreadsheet of how it was yesterday at 3 o'clock, because we have a meeting in a few minutes and we need to present how the Excel spreadsheet looked yesterday, not how it looks now. And then, so usually your IT company would then try to reload from the backup and the next problems. So now there's document versioning where you can actually see who did the change and of course get the data back. The next thing is, which is the biggest thing for me, is emails. How many of you are indoctrinated with emails? You get an email, it has one version, then someone else says, oh no, we got to change these plans, and then someone else sends you the plans, and now you're trying to figure out which version is correct. Well, in this case, with the file sharing solution, you can actually have the same folder, and when someone makes the change, all they have to do is save it, and then when someone goes to that folder or goes to that file, they'll see the latest revisions. And again, going back to the revisions, you can actually see who made the changes and what, which is very important. Another thing with the emails is there's limits. If you have a big architectural file, there are limits to your email where you can't send large files, or maybe your service provider can, but the person that you're sending it to can't. So one of the things that with the technology that they have for construction companies is that now you're basically putting this file on the cloud. You can then share it. And when you share it, it essentially will send whoever you're sending it to a link where they can then from there download it. But speaking of the link, you want to be sure that no one can actually access the files because of privacy. You don't want to just have this link out there and then from there anybody can access the files. So what you can do is with the person that you're sending it to, you can then send them a separate email or a text message or just come up with a password for the project where you say, anytime I send you a file, it's going to be password protected, and then this is the file. This is the password. So that way if someone else gets the file, it doesn't matter because although they have the link, they don't actually have access to the file. Next thing that I wanted to talk about is expiration dates. Maybe you're working on a project and you send the project to someone, they're a contractor, and now the job is done. You yourself, because the file belongs to you, still need the file, but there's no reason for the contractor to still have those files. So you can actually put expiration date so that when you send the file to someone via the link actually will expire. So that way, if that person's email ever gets hacked, and now the bad guy is going through all the emails, if he clicks on that email, it's going to show that the file, the link expired. And lastly, one of the other reasons why you should consider technology in your construction company when it comes to file sharing is because you're going to save so much money by not having the data locally on your employees or staff's computer or on a server. If you're working on a file, if you're working on a project and you get a new project and now you need 300 gigs of data because you have to put the projects, the pictures, everything like that inside of there. Well, IT is going to be knocking on your door and saying, hey, Mr. Owner, you guys just put a whole bunch of files in the server and the server is limited. The server can only handle so much storage. Well, with the cloud, it's essentially unlimited. If you need more storage, of course, there may be a fee to it, but nevertheless, it's not going to be anywhere comparable to now having to upgrade your physical server. So these are just one of the, I would say, the top 5 of my list of why you should consider a file sync and share or file share, or there's different names to it, but this is one of the top 5 reasons of why you should consider upgrading your construction company, your development company on a file sharing solution, and not just have some people here using Dropbox, some people here using OneDrive, some people are emailing it. You have to streamline your systems, and by creating a file sync and share solution, you'll then be able to collaborate better. You'll be able to control the files better, because if an employee leaves, you want to be able to control that. If they're on Dropbox and it's their personal Dropbox, you can't control that. So there's many reasons. So I hope this was useful. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment below, and I love to talk with you and answer any questions you have. Thank you.